Welcome back to Footwork. Let's talk about boxing. So, we got Devin Haney and George Kambosos set for a rematch on October 16th. This fight's supposed to be taking place on ESPN. So, if you've been watching some of my videos, you already know that I covered the first fight as far as a prediction and did a post-fight comments on it. So, now they're about to go through this again. So, the big question here remains why? Why on earth are we having a rematch with these two? There is nothing to prove in this fight. Devin Haney, he outboxed Kambosos basically 12-0 in their last fight. Now, for those of you who are not really familiar with these two, I'm just going to give you a brief explanation again, that this is the lightweight division at 135 pounds. And it's for the undisputed championship at that weight division. So pretty much the person who wins the fight is the only champion at that weight class. And so what's so important about it is that you got so many titles in every weight division, and then you got all these different weight divisions in boxing. And that's one of the things that kind of hold the sport back a little bit. I say a little bit, but actually it's a lot. And that's why you probably, as a layman, you don't know anybody probably besides Mike Tyson, or, maybe you know who Holyfield is and, a couple of other people. But outside of that, you don't really know fighters like that. I mean, nobody knows anybody's name. And that's because boxing is like a dirty, kind of rotten sport under the undercarriage here. On the surface, it looks okay, especially to the casual. Every now and then, you might hear about a Floyd Mayweather fight, but you don't know anybody from anything. And there's a couple of issues why, and this is one of them, is that, everybody has their little kingdom, their little fiefdom, their little networks and everything, and their boxing promotional outfits, and everything stays in-house, and none of these fighters have to fight outside of those. You get one champ, you got 4 major titles for each weight division. And each one of these champs, they get to kind of hold on to their little championship, and they don't have to fight the other guys in their weight class. So you get confused because there's 4 different champions in one weight class, supposedly. And none of them are willing to fight each other because they're usually on different networks, controlled by different promotional outfits, and you get this stalemate in boxing. They really need to be forced to fight each other. If I had my way, I would have one champion, and I would probably only have maybe 6 at most weight classes in boxing. If I could force these guys to fight each other, you just have your champion. It won't even be an undisputed. You would just be a champion. And, if you beat this guy, you're the new champion. And everybody knows that there's just one name at one weight division. And instead of putting all this money into all these different championships, so that these networks can be able to say, we got a championship fight going, then you would be able to just have a face that you could go out there and promote, instead of putting all that energy into trying to have regular championship fights on televised fights or pay-per-view fights. Just have one name, one face per weight class. I mean, there's just so much wrong. I could talk all day about it. But the bottom line is because Devin Haney, who was once independent, as far as his promotions was concerned, had to sign with Bob Arum and ESPN so that he could have a shot at the guy you see here on the left, Kambosos, and to take his titles, which he did a few months ago, and he boxed his ears off. And like I said before, in that, this guy really doesn't have a shot in the rematch. There's really no need to see this fight. We already know what's going to happen. And the thing about getting beat 12-0 is that you had time to make adjustments. And it's basically like you could have just stayed at home and got the same result. It's almost like Devin Haney went into the ring by himself, shadow boxed for 12 rounds in front of the judges, and they was like, yeah, okay, cool, you win. I mean, for what it's worth. So it's kind of humiliating rather than get caught early with a good shot, and you really wasn't able to get your game plan going, or something along those lines. So it's really kind of embarrassing for a professional boxer to not even win, not even 80% of one round out of 12 rounds. So the psyche of Kambosos going into this rematch, I mean, he wasn't able to get anything going. He couldn't get his jab really going and effective. He couldn't land a steady right hand to the body. He couldn't really step over with the left hook. He had no answers at all. He had nothing for Devin Haney. So this is really just stupid, and it's a travesty that these guys have to fight again. I mean, it's just a waste of everybody's time. The money is not there. And so now it's taking place on ESPN, I think, or maybe ESPN Plus. So it's getting further and further relegated back into the doldrums of boxing because nobody cares about this fight. But we're forced to watch it because that's the promotional outfit and the network working to protect their particular interests. And who gets to suffer? Fans. So as much as I like Devin Haney, I'm not really a fan of this fight. If I watch it, I'm watching it for him. And I got ESPN. But the bottom line is that it makes no sense whatsoever for this fight to take place. All of that being said, I expect Devin Haney to come in and basically do the same thing he did before. He can just go into this fight on cruise control. He should be even more confident than he was in the first fight. Because now Kambosos are going to have something to prove. And, hopefully Kambosos gets a little desperate this time to try to make something happen and runs into something. And Devin Haney's not a huge destructive type of puncher, but he will make you respect him. And if Kambosos gets reckless, I think he can hurt him. He's not a one-punch knockout type of artist, but what I would like to see Devin Haney do in this fight is basically do the same thing that he did in the first fight. But like I said in my pre-fight prediction, the first time around, step into the body. He did a really good job jabbing to the body and throwing Kambosos' rhythm off. I would just like to see him set the pace early, a fast pace early, wear Kambosos down to the body, starting in the first or second round, jabbing to the body, getting a good right hand going to the body from outside, stepping around Kambosos, popping his jab at him all night, and just make him run into you. And then when you're on the inside, you just keep touching him underneath to the body, keep moving his shoulder, his elbow up, and then you throw those sneaky little shots underneath with your right hand while they in close, and then he can step up the pressure as the fight goes on, especially to the body. If he keeps working this guy's body, he's gonna break him down. He's gonna get him out of there late in the fight. So I hope to see that this time around. That'd be the only thing that'd be worth watching. And that would make this fight interesting is that Devin can further humiliate this guy and beat him down and make him bow before his knees in that fight. And he walk off with his hands up, with Kambosos just bloodied and battered throughout the fight. Kambosos talked a lot of crap before the first fight. Unnecessary, because Devin's a professional when he goes into the ring, and he really didn't return that same type of energy. He's a class act, this kid. And so I really want him to punish George Kambosos this time around. And then after that, it'd be nice to see him in there with Tank Davis or one of the other big names in and around the lightweight division. We'll see what happens from here. This is Footwork. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and we out.